Many of us have started to live differently because of the effect of the COVID-19 pandemic. In fact, this podcast is being recorded over the internet because Reza can't meet me in person to record in my flat. In this podcast episode, we ask the question, how is this change affecting our daily habits? And how can we create positive habits and change bad habits to good ones? Welcome to
Aprender Inglés with Reza and Craig.
Hello and welcome back. My name's Craig.
And my name is Reza.
And together with nearly 50 years, over 50 years of teaching between us, Reza and I are going to help you improve your English and take it to the next level. How are you, Reza?
Well, considering the circumstances with all these restrictions of the COVID-19, I'm doing okay. And you?
Yes, it's sad, isn't it? Because it's such a beautiful sunny day here in Valencia, but unfortunately we can't get together, can we, Reza? We can't meet up and have lunch after the podcasting.
That's right, which is my favourite bit of the podcasting because of the great food you get in Craig's house. But as Craig said, we're recording this in February 2021. And I'm just curious to know how much will be remembered about this COVID-19 pandemic in the future. If you're listening to this in the very distant future, I don't know, like 10 years from now, I wonder, will they be teaching you in school about the COVID-19 and what a huge effect it had on people? Or will there have been loads of pandemics since then? And this is just one of many. I wonder, what do you think, Craig?
Well, I didn't like to mention the pandemic when it first started. Well, it hit the news in March 2020, so it's almost a year ago. I didn't want to mention it on the podcast because I thought maybe in a month or 2 months it's going to disappear. We'll find a solution. Things will go back to normal, but it didn't happen. So I think it's been nearly a year and it is quite a thing now. It's a worldwide pandemic. Most people have been affected by it some way or another. And yeah, that's why we're here and talking about it. And I think it will be remembered in the future.
Yeah, as Craig said, we didn't want to mention it first because we don't want to mention passing news stories in our podcast because they'll soon be really dated, like an election. We try to avoid mentioning all things because we'll be out of date. But clearly, this COVID-19 pandemic of 2020 is a big event. So it's worth mentioning. It's one thing that we can mention and know that it's more than a flash in the pan. A flash in the pan means a quick thing which will be forgotten. This, for us, is definitely more than that.
Let's start this week with a voice message from Jesus, who is from Getafe, Madrid.
Hello, Reza and Craig. My name is Jesus from Getafe, Madrid. I have been listening to your podcasts for several months. Congratulations, guys. I really like listening to you both every week. I'm a little bit nervous because my level is low and I have written this message so that I can read it. Well, I've decided to contact you because I would like to know if you, Craig, have made some recordings for La Mansión del Inglés. There are several listenings which talks about life in Valencia, and there are many coincidences, such as the experiences, the age, etc. And the voice is similar too. That's why I think that you and that person are the same. Or maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, I enjoy a lot listening to you every week. I like the topics you talk about and your sense of humor. Thank you very much for reading this message. And sorry for the mistakes. And once again, congratulations, guys. You are the best. Keep safe and goodbye.
Thank you very much for your message, Jesus. It's really good to hear from you. And yes, I am the same Craig from La Mansión del Inglés, because La Mansión del Inglés actually is behind this podcast. It's connected to mansioningles.com. When we started mentioningles.com, myself and my good friend Lewis, who's the webmaster of the internet site, and that was back in 2001, we wanted to put audio files into the courses and let you improve your listening. So I started recording, obviously myself, also my family, my parents, my sister, my brother-in-law, other friends and family. So most of the recordings you listen to on the Mention Ingles, it's me and people I know. And that's why it sounds so familiar. So yes, this podcast is connected to La Mención del Inglés.
We have another voice message from Spain, though not from the peninsula, from one of the Canary Islands, all the way from Tenerife, or Tenerife, as you say in Spanish. Zebin from Tenerife has sent this message.
Hello, Reza. Hello, Craig. This is Seven from Tenerife in Canary Islands. I share this message with you because I want to thank your wonderful work. I appreciate your work, and I knew my English teacher thanks to you. She lives in Valencia as you, and she's a great teacher as well. I started to study English 8 months ago, and I began to listen to podcasts at the beginning of the lockdown, and I haven't stopped it so far. To be honest, I thought that it will be easier, but to learn a new language is hard, and now I know that I need to go step by step, little by little. In the other hand, I can say that I'm enjoying this trip. I hope listening to you for a long time, and I hope you are happy with your amazing work. Finally, I want to suggest a topic for your podcast. How have changed habits our life? For example, now I'm taking class without go out. Bye bye and take care, guys.
Thank you very much, Zeben, for your message. And the teacher that Zeben mentioned in his message is our friend Lynn, who we used to work with. And Lynn now teaches online through the website putitlikethis.com. There's a link in the show notes, putitlikethis.com. So Zeben is studying with Lynn. And if you are interested in having a private teacher to help you with your English, I'm sure you'll agree, Reza, that you could not find anyone better than Lynn to help you with your English on the internet.
Yeah, you will not find anyone better than Lynn. I can absolutely guarantee you, Craig, as well, that she is a superb teacher and you will not find better.
So if you want to get in touch with Lynn, as Zeban did, and is very happy with her as a teacher, go to the show notes for this episode, and you can find those at inglespodcast.com/350, and there you will see a link to Lynn's website. Put it like this. Can we help Zeben with one or two things in his message that could be improved, Reza?
Yes, Seben, your message was very clear and a really good message, and your pronunciation on the whole was good, but there are one or two little things that we could maybe help you with. I think you said, Zeben, I want to thank your wonderful work. Well, you need the preposition there, for. You thank somebody for something. So you should say, I want to thank you for your wonderful work.
And I agree with Reza, your pronunciation is generally very good. Just two small things that you can improve on. Be careful of the word stress in the word appreciate. It has 4 syllables, appreciate, and the stress, the strong syllable, is the second one, appreciate. I appreciate your work. And also, be careful of the ed endings on past regular verbs. You said, I haven't stopped. So be careful not to pronounce the E in stopped. So it's a T sound, almost like a T. Stopped. Stopped. I haven't stopped. So be careful of those ED endings in the past with pronunciation.
Another thing you said when you were talking about Lynn, you said, I knew my English teacher thanks to you. We understand you, but the word new is not right there. You need to say, I met my English teacher thanks to you. This always causes problem. It's a tricky thing. Know and meet. You see, the thing is, I think in Spanish they can be the same word, conocer. So if you're a Spanish speaker, that's the problem. But when you meet someone, that's because you're physically, or I suppose online these days, getting together. If you know someone, that means you've already met them. You already have been physically together or online, I guess, or on the phone or something like that. So now you know them. So first you meet someone, and then after that, you know them.
Reza, we met in Valencia, but do you remember the year that we met each other?
Yes, 1998.
So how long have we known each other? Do the maths.
Yeah. So this is, we better put it in context, remind people this is 2021 because you might be listening to it after that date. So 23 years?
Yes. So I can say that I have known Reza for 23 years because we met 23 years ago. So just remember, when you shake hands with someone, well, not shake hands these days, when you wave at someone from a socially distanced position and you meet them for the first time, you usually say in English, nice to meet you, because that's the time you meet them. And the time that has passed is the time you have known them for.
But just to add another little complication, not because I want to, but because I have to, it's important. There's a second meaning of meet.
Carne.
No. No, the same verb to meet, which is to be physically together with someone or online or something like that, but not necessarily for the first time. So meet actually has two meanings. When you first find out about someone, you're meeting them. First time, you're meeting them. But after that, the second, third, fourth, fifth, and 500th time, etc., you can still meet that person, but it doesn't mean the same thing because now you already know them. So now if you meet them, that means you're getting physically or through cyberspace together. So there's actually two meanings of meet. And Spanish, logically, has two translations, therefore. So meeting someone for the first time in Spanish is conocer. But if I meet Craig tomorrow, it's not the first time, so that would be quedar. Totally different translation in Spanish.
Yep, that's true. One sentence you did say very, very well in past simple, Zebin, was, I started to study English 8 months ago. So very good use of the time reference ago with the past simple. Be careful with the preposition that goes with listen, and many students make this mistake. It's listen to. So listen to a podcast, listen to music. Remember that to preposition with listen.
Another tricky preposition is the preposition on the other hand, on. Like many people, you made the mistake, you said in, but it's on the other hand. On the one hand and on the other hand.
And you're doing everything right, Zebin. As you said, it is hard. It is difficult to learn a foreign language. In fact, I'm still learning Spanish after so many years. It's a process. But you're doing everything right. You're studying with a very good teacher. You've reached out to us to practice your speaking. You sent us a voice message with a question. And you're engaging with the language. You're connecting with English. So keep on, keep studying. And I'm sure you'll be improving very, very quickly. Your question was, how have changed habits our lives? Small problem there with the word order. Better to say, how have our daily habits changed? Okay? How have our daily habits changed? And I really like that question because I'm quite interested in changing habits, improving habits from bad habits to good ones. So let's look a little bit about how our personal habits have changed, any new ones that we've created, or because of the lockdown, the pandemic, how many habits have been created for us using the passive, because sometimes we don't necessarily have control on restrictions and our habits get changed for us. Let's start looking at the area of work. Reza, what's changed for you in habits connected to teaching?
Well, what's changed for me as a teacher and for many, many other professions is, above all, the fact that now I have to do a lot more work from home. So I'm sure plenty of you listening to me are thinking, yep, that's exactly the same for me. Because, of course, the pandemic of COVID-19 requires us not to spend too much time, or perhaps even no time, in contact with each other. So, to avoid face-to-face contact, me and many millions of people around the world are working from home. Same for you, Craig, right?
Yeah, exactly. And of course, we know that there are many people who unfortunately have lost their jobs because of businesses closing, the hospitality industry, hotels, restaurants, bars, cafes. Some have had to close. Some are closed now. So many people have been laid off. There's a phrasal verb which means to lose your job, but it's not your fault. So you don't lose the job because you arrive late, because you're a bad worker, because you have an alcohol problem or something like that. You lose your job because of financial problems that your employer has. And we often use it in the passive. So your employer lays you off. You are laid off by your employer. A more formal expression is to be made redundant. And again, in the passive, I have been made redundant by my boss. It's not necessary to say who made you redundant, but the passive is used because it wasn't you who did the action, it was your boss. So you could say you've been laid off or you've been made redundant.
Yes, very unfortunate if you've lost your job. But there may be some of you who have suffered, but not quite as much. You may have been put on furlough. Furlough. Let me spell that for you. Furloughh. Furlough. But it's pronounced fur, like, a fur coat, animal skin, and low, high, low. Put those two sounds together, and that's the pronunciation, furlough. And that means that you haven't been made redundant, but they've had to reduce your working hours because there simply isn't enough work to go around these days because the economy has shrunk. Yeah, it's got smaller. There's a lot of problems. So you're on fewer hours. So they haven't got rid of you. You haven't been made redundant, but you're on furlough. And you may be lucky. You may be relatively lucky, I should say. You might live in a country where the government has some kind of furlough scheme where they pay part, a proportion of your salary. If you are on furlough, I hope that's the case for you.
And as Reza said, a lot more of us teachers are working from home. There are less face-to-face classes in the classroom. And when we are teaching face-to-face, the students are wearing masks, face masks. The teachers are wearing face masks. It makes it incredibly difficult to hear what people are saying. And obviously you can't see the movement of the mouth and the expressions in the face. Let's move on to look at social problems we're having. How have you been affected socially by the pandemic?
Well, who hasn't been affected socially? Of course, we all have. And I guess the better your social life was before, the more you were affected, I guess. But we've all been affected to some degree or other. Obviously, things that people like to get together to do, you simply can't do it now. You can't even get together and meet in a park or go for a walk down the street and having a beer or a coffee or a meal in a restaurant. Certainly in Spain, at the minute, we're talking about February 2021, you can't. It's illegal. Right now, the most recent conditions are that you can only get takeaway food. So obviously, socially, people have had to rely on technology. Things like Zoom and Skype. You can keep in contact with friends and family online. Have you been doing that, Craig?
I have, and I'm doing it more than I did before. I'm looking for people to get in touch with on the internet through Skype. I like to see people's faces in video calls, and I'm using it a lot more than I used to. Are you finding that you're in touch more with your family and relatives in Belfast than you were before the pandemic?
In a way, yeah. I think in a way, yeah, because just the idea that we're being restricted, it kind of makes you react. So you get in touch more than before. It's curious, isn't it? Yeah.
Do you get on the same call with all of your family together, or do you call them individually?
We've done some Zoom chats, but there's quite often, as everybody knows, technical problems there. So quite often we simply done a WhatsApp call, video call, and that seems to work quite well. We even got my mum to do it once, which is an absolute miracle, and it seems to work. My mum's the sort of person who, has difficulties with a simple, no internet needed mobile to mobile call, So to get her on a WhatsApp video call was nothing short of a miracle.
I think the thing that's most affected me, though, overall is travel, because I really love traveling and I try to go at least once a year somewhere abroad, somewhere overseas where I can get to know a different country and travel around. And of course, international travel has really been affected by the pandemic, and I haven't been anywhere for over a year now. Although I was thinking yesterday, maybe domestic travel is the answer, because I was speaking to a friend who has started going out into the countryside, taking her car, doing some walks. Maybe that's increased for some of you, and that's something, as soon as we can leave the Valencia community and travel to other parts of the country, maybe that's something we need to start doing. Day trips, for example, trekking in the countryside, driving and walking, enjoying the scenery, just getting out the city. What do you think?
Yeah, we should, because I don't know, maybe it's different in Latin America. Maybe our listeners in countries like Brazil or Argentina or Mexico, Bolivia, or whatever, Central and South America, maybe your conditions are different. But here right now, February 2021, at the weekend, you're not allowed to leave certain cities or go in. So from, I think, is it 2:00 on Friday, Craig, or 3:00 when?
Yep, something like that. Yeah, you have to stay inside the city. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't leave the city limits. So Valencia, for example, where we are here in Spain, basically all around it, apart from the sea on one side, all around it, there are satellite towns where people live beside the main city, and they kind of join on to Valencia. You can't really see where one ends and the other begins, but you're not allowed to go to them. You can't cross over the city's perimeter. So it even affects certain streets. There are certain streets which are half in Valencia, half in the neighbouring town, and you're not allowed to go from one half of the street to the other.
Yeah, that's the way it is. And leisure and exercise. I mean, I've bought a bicycle, so I'm doing cycling outside. That's something we can do by ourselves in the fresh air, taking the bike and riding around the city or here along the beach in Valencia. But of course, the gyms are closed. You can't go to the gym and do exercise. I did buy one of those pull-up bars, where you attach it to the wall and you pull yourself, your body weight, pull up. And I'm still working on doing one complete pull-up. That's work in progress. It's been a few weeks and I'm nearly there. I'm nearly getting to one. So that's something I've started doing. What do you do to relax, to do exercise, in your leisure time? What do you do to unwind and de-stress?
Well, every day, virtually, I like to begin the day with some exercises, pretty easy exercises, not very straining, not a big effort for my muscles. So I don't need a gym for them. I didn't need a gym before, so it doesn't really make a difference.
You joined a gym though, didn't you?
Oh, but a long time ago. Yeah, that was about 2 years ago or something like that. And I joined above all to be able to use a shower when my bathroom wasn't working. Seriously, that was the main reason why I joined. I thought, well, I might as well go to the gym a few times since I've joined it.
You joined the gym to use the shower?
Yeah, it was worth it. Yeah, much cheaper than staying in a hotel or something like that. And I got the chance to use the gym as well. So yeah, I was really lucky. I just had to go down the stairs from my block of flats and round the corner, and it was there. And I would go down to have a shower and not use the gym. Come back again.
One thing I'm doing too much of, and we'll talk about how to improve habits and change bad habits to good. I'm watching far too much TV. In fact, I was signed up to Netflix. I subscribed to Netflix, but I've unsubscribed because I was watching too much. I was binge watching. If you binge watch, binge, then you consistently watch program after program after program. So if you have a TV series that has maybe 6 or 7 different series, or temporadas in Spanish, and every series has 12 episodes, you're watching a lot of TV. And I noticed I was watching to 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, which is a very bad habit. So I've unsubscribed from Netflix to try to watch less TV. Is that the case with you, Reza? And another question, are you walking outside more? I know you take Coco for a walk, but do you go outside more to walk either with or without Coco than you were before?
Actually, no, about the same, because as you say, I already walk Coco 2-3 times a day. So that hasn't really changed because of the curfew, because you can't go outside here in Valencia anyway. Later than 10 o'clock, there's a curfew, toque de queda. So I'd quite like to go out for a walk sometimes at about 10 o'clock at night, to clear my head just before I go to bed, but you can't. So I wouldn't say I've been walking any more than before. No, but I've been enjoying it more, Craig. Just knowing that there's restrictions, I enjoy the walks more. Same for you?
Yeah, I'm enjoying going out more, definitely. And are you watching too much Netflix or other TV?
I am with you there. I thought, yeah, that's me. Out of curiosity, are there any series which you found particularly addictive?
Well, I'm addicted to one at the moment, and curiously, it's not on Netflix. So I've also got Amazon Prime Video, and I'm watching Sons of Anarchy. And that's another example. There's 7 series, and each series has like 13 episodes, and each episode's an hour or just under an hour, and that's far too much TV. So my New Year's resolution was to watch less TV and read more. So to change the habit, that doesn't mean I won't watch some TV, but instead of watching until maybe 1 o'clock in the morning and then finding it difficult to get to sleep because of the flashing images on the screen, I go to bed earlier, I read for half an hour, and that helps me to get better sleep.
I know exactly. Yeah, Craig, I've been getting a bit worried about myself. I haven't been going to bed so late, but yeah, I've been binge watching one series after the other. And funnily enough, curiously, just recently I had to change my service provider for internet and phone and mobile and all of that because, well, what happens to everybody? They wanted to put the price up a lot, so I had the battle to get the price down, right? And play one company off against another. And to cut a long story short, the best deal I got was throwing in is to add something free, throwing in Amazon Prime. And I almost didn't want them to do it. I was almost at the point of saying, no, don't. But they said, well, it's free anyway. You get it whether you want it or not. So you're not going to save any money. And I was almost at the point of saying, no, don't give me it. It's too dangerous. Because I've already got Netflix and HBO. If you give me this, it's like giving a kid too much chocolate. I don't know what's going to happen.
Or giving me too much chocolate. Yeah, just eat it. Yeah. But it is, I think we're not alone. I think people listening to this may have similar problems where they're just watching a lot of TV because they're not socializing. They have more spare time. They're under these restrictions and it's just easy. And in one way, we're lucky, I suppose, to have all this technology and this entertainment at our fingertips. The expression at our fingertips means easily available. At the click of a mouse or the click of a button, we can watch entertainment and be entertained. But it does have a negative side when, like me, you're binge watching and watching too much of it. What about social media and news? Have you found yourself, like me, becoming a news addict, a news junkie, watching too much news to find out what's going on?
I think I was at first because of the COVID-19 pandemic, and it was a new thing and nobody knew anything about it, and we were all very frightened, and we still are a bit. So I listened to lots of news to find out the latest information. But then it began to almost bothered me. I thought, this is silly. I'm just watching the same news over and over again, like 3, 4 times in one day. And it seems like they don't really add much each time. So then I told myself, no, forget that. Just watch the news once a day. So I kind of try and leave it till the evening and just watch the news, and then I'll get the whole day's news. I feel that it was being silly, like being updated every couple of hours, because the developments weren't that important. You could wait 24 hours to get updated. I think. What do you reckon?
Yeah, no, I agree with you, although that hasn't really been my experience, because when the pandemic started, I did what you did, and I started watching the news very frequently, and not only every day, but several times during the day on the television, on the computer, using news apps on my phone, BBC apps, Reuters and Associated Press, getting news from different sources. But that carried on with me. I didn't stop doing it. So that's a habit that I've developed over time, and we'll speak about how to improve and change these habits. It doesn't really do me much good because, as you said, they keep repeating the same news very often, and it tends to depress me and put me in a bad mood. So that's one thing I'm working on at the moment, is to expose myself less to the news. Yes, it's important to know what's happening in the world, but not to the level of watching it constantly on a daily basis and for too long each day. So how can we change habits, Reza? Because bad habits are often caused by stress and boredom. For example, you might go on to Amazon and overspend and order things online. You might start biting your nails or maybe drinking too much alcohol. That's often a byproduct of stress and boredom. But how can we change those? And let's try and help the listeners if they're in this situation. For example, with me with the news, how can we improve bad habits, make them good?
Well, if you are a creature of habit, that expression means you're the type of person who likes habits, that habits work for you, you're comfortable with habits. If you're a creature of habits, why not replace a bad habit with a good one? So you don't have to stop having a habit, just change it, replace it. So, for example, your habit might be at night to watch the TV for an hour or something on internet or streaming just before you go to sleep. Why not use the same time, that hour, but instead of watching the TV or internet, read a book? So replace one habit with another better one.
I've tried doing that with TV, as I mentioned before. Instead of watching too much TV, I cut it short at about 11 or 11:30 and then read for 30 minutes before I go to sleep. Another habit I've changed, I used to check the news after lunch, always sit down, put on BBC News, see what's happening in the world. Instead of doing that, I watch a documentary for half an hour, and that's my rest after lunch before I go back to work. So I watch something more constructive. So if you're studying English, for you that could be watching a TED Talk for half an hour, or it could be watching something in English that will be beneficial to you and will make you feel better about yourself.
Yeah, if you really want to see something on Netflix or HBO or whatever, watch it in English, make it informative, and improve your English while you're doing it, at the very least, right?
Yep, exactly. Another thing you could do to make these habits work and stick, to stick is pegar, make yourself accountable to another person. Accountability, that's the noun, is a very strong factor in keeping these habits going over time. So how can you do that? Well, if you're practicing English, find a partner, either in your household where you live or someone online that you can make a weekly meeting or meet twice a week for an English chat. And if a person's waiting for you to connect, then that's the accountability. You're accountable to another person, and that makes the habit much easier and much stronger when you do it on a weekly basis. Because if you're doing it on your own, it's very easy to stop. But if there's another person doing it with you, it's not so easy to cancel it.
Can I add, Craig, making yourself accountable to another person or any living creature? For example, I'm accountable to Coco, and I thank him. Coco the dog obliges me, because I'm accountable to him for his well-being, to have my 3 walks a day. I have to do it. His health and well-being depends on it, and that's a good thing. So there's no question of me not going out for those 3 walks a day. I have to do it, and I like that accountability.
So perhaps people studying English could make themselves accountable to their cat or dog to speak English once a day for 15 minutes. Speak to your cat in English once a day. Visualization is also very useful and very, very powerful for improving your English. And one way it could work is if you visualize yourself giving a presentation in English, or working in an English-speaking office, for example, or speaking English when you're traveling abroad, thinking that when we can do that again one day, you'll be out there traveling around the world speaking English. Visualizing a better you can sometimes help you to improve. Do you ever do that? Do you ever visualize a future Reza doing something well or doing something better than you do now?
Yes, I do. Yeah. Though sometimes I do the thing well for about a minute, and then it seems to go wrong. So sometimes it's better for me not to imagine, not to visualize too much, because I sometimes lack confidence, I think, in myself. It's a useful thing to do as long as you can keep all negative thoughts out of your mind while you're visualizing things, I think.
Yeah, I think that's good advice. What else can people do to change a habit?
The word "but" sounds like a negative word, Oh, I'd like to help you, but sounds negative. Yes, like, yeah, that's quite nice, but negative. Why not use the word "but" to stay positive? Let me give you an example. You could say, my English level went down last year. If you could admit that, that's not a good thing, that's a bad thing. But I'm studying again and I can improve my level. So it's positive. Yeah, there's been the setback. The setback is the thing that went wrong. My English level, it did go down last year, but I'm studying again and I can improve my level. So use the word "but" to make things positive. Can you think of any, Craig?
Well, if you think about pronunciation, for example, you could say, my pronunciation isn't that good, but with the help of an online teacher and a pronunciation course, I can improve it a lot this year. So that idea of, yes, you admit that at the moment your pronunciation needs improvement, but there's a solution and there's something you're working towards, and that can really help you, which also is connected to visualization. If you think about it, you're visualizing a better way to speak English, and that's what you're working towards with the process of studying and practicing, etc.
Yeah, that's the type of visualization I go for, the accepting the problem, the setback, but thinking about the realistic way of improving that. The best one of all, I think, for listeners to think of is, my listening of English is not perfect. I find it difficult to understand everything native speakers say. But with Aprender Inglés con Resi Craig, I can easily improve that.
If you listen every week, which I know some of you are doing, but if you're a new listener to the podcast, we hope you'll continue, and this will improve your listening skills on a weekly basis.
Why not consider, particularly during lockdown, becoming an alcoholic? No, I didn't say alcoholic. A lot of people like me have considered becoming an alcoholic during lockdown, but don't do that. Consider becoming an AIRC-aholic. That's AIRC-aholic. AIRC, Aprender Inglés con Resi Craig. Become addicted to us. The worst that can happen is that your listening gets a lot better.
Yeah, that's quite a positive addiction, isn't it? That's not a negative addiction. Speaking of habits, there's one quote I really do like, and it's by a Chinese philosopher called Lao Tzu. Lao Tzu wrote the Tao Te Ching, the birth of Taoism, right back in the before Christ, in the 4th or 5th century BC. And this quote I'm going to read you is very much tied to the idea of how we form habits. And Lao Tzu wrote, "Watch your thoughts. They become your words. Watch your words. they become your actions. Watch your actions, they become your habits. Watch your habits, they become your character. Watch your character, it becomes your destiny. One thing connected to the next. So basically, thoughts, actions, habits, character. It all starts with your thoughts. If you think positively and constructively, then that becomes something you do. And then when you do something regularly, that becomes a habit and that becomes who you are.
Yes, I like that very much. It's very profound, but beautifully simple, and you can't argue with it. It's logical. It's true. It's a fact.
There's another guy a lot more modern than Lao Tzu. James Clear wrote a very popular book called Atomic Habits, and you can see all these links and quotes in the show notes to the episode, inglespodcast.com/350. And a quote from James Clear, he says, "Your life today is essentially the sum of your habits." The sum of your habits. So how in shape or out of shape you are, how fit you are or how unfit you are, is a result of your habits. How happy or unhappy you are, a result of your habits. How successful or unsuccessful you are, a result of your habits. That's why I'm trying to watch less Netflix, because it does really affect the way you are.
I don't entirely agree with that philosophy.
Why not?
I partly agree. Let's be honest, if you're born the son of a very rich millionaire, your life's probably going to be pretty good. And it's not all down to your habits.
Well, I know a few rich offspring. Offspring will be the sons and the daughters of rich people, the offspring who have gone down the road of drink and drugs and had very unhappy lives and died early because of their privilege.
True. But the idea that how successful or unsuccessful you are is purely a result of your habits is not. If you're born in the third world in a very poor country, the chance of you becoming incredibly successful at what you want to do is small.
It's small, but it's not impossible. I mean, you do know rags to riches stories. Rags to riches means people who are born in poverty, who don't have many opportunity, do sometimes become successful. Sometimes.
Yeah, they do. They do. There are some. But they're the minority. Sorry if it sounds like I'm being very negative, listeners, but it's true. We achieve more of what we would like to achieve in richer countries than in poorer countries. You can't tell me that's as a result of our habits, simply. No, it isn't.
No, not only the habits. Not only the habits. I agree. There are other factors. Your social economic background, opportunities you have in life, and in some countries, even your religion or the color of your skin can have a huge effect on your success.
And your sex?
And your sex, yeah, male or female, sure.
So I think that's a bit of a simplification. I like the idea behind it. I think it's important to have good habits, and they will affect your success. But I don't think having really good habits guarantees success. I'm sad to say. I wish it did. I think it improves your chances, but I don't think it guarantees it, sadly.
Another thing James Clear says in his book Atomic Habits, let's see if you agree with this, Reza. QCUE, that's not QUEUE, that's not stand in line waiting for something. That's CUEQ, which means a prompt or a trigger to do something. Trigger is gatillo, something that causes another thing to happen, some kind of reminder. That comes first when we speak about habits. For example, you make yourself a cup of tea. That could be the cue for you to take a biscuit. It would be for me. I love tea and biscuits, and I think Reza would agree with me there that if you make a cup of tea, you reach for the biscuit tin, right? So what's the reward? Well, the reward for that is the taste of the biscuit and the tea together and really enjoying a snack and a refreshment and a nice cup of tea with a biscuit. So those three things in sequence, the cue, the routine, and the reward, develop the habit. Another example, but my sister, she's a smoker. She smokes cigarettes. And what triggers her to smoke very often Coffee, for example, she'll make a cup of coffee and light a cigarette. Or the phone rings. She picks up the phone, it's a telephone conversation. That's the cue. And then the routine is to light a cigarette. And the reward is to smoke while you're speaking. So those three things happening one after the other very quickly develops a habit. Do you have any of those that you can think of, Reza? A cue or a prompt and then a routine?
Exactly as you described the tea and biscuit one. Exactly. You hit the nail on the head. I have that association.
Or maybe with Coco, you know you have to take Coco for a walk, so you take Coco downstairs. He has his walk. Do you give him something when you go up to the flat after, like a treat or something?
Yes, I think Coco is typical of most dogs. It's all about routine and reward. I mean, their lives are based around it. So it's like, eat your breakfast, and if you eat it all up nice and clean and don't leave any, you get a little biscuit, and that's like your dessert as a reward. And then you know that soon after that, you'll be going for a walk. So it's walk time. Walks are good. Walks are good. He likes walks. He likes staying out. But another reward, when you get home, you get the biscuit. So, yeah, he likes staying out. But if he stays out too long, yeah, which I don't want, I want him to stay out, but not too long, then he puts off the biscuit. So that's his dilemma because he's got the reward for coming back from the walk. So it's all about routines and rewards for dogs.
And if you think about it, it's also for you because the cue for you is to take Coco for a walk because he needs to go for a walk. So you're prompted to take him out. And then the routine is when you get back, you always give him something. And the reward for you is seeing a happy dog.
Exactly.
I want to mention one more book that might be useful. I hope we're helping people today. I hope we're helping the listeners with some good advice. But there's one more book that I do recommend. It's called The Power of Habit, and it's written by Charles Duhigg. That's Duhigg. Again, link will be in the show notes at inglespodcast.com/350. He wrote a book called The Power of Habit, in which he says, if you want to create a positive habit, write it down. In a very similar way to James Clear, you say when you do something, like the cue, and then I will, that becomes the routine, because it provides me with X, which is the reward. For example, for you, you could say, when I go to bed, I'll read in English for 10 minutes because it will expand my vocabulary and improve my reading skills. Can you think of a similar example, Reza?
Yes. When I'm having trouble understanding native speakers, I will listen to more episodes of Aprender Inglés con Reza y Craig because it provides me with practice to improve my listening.
Another example, as soon as I turn on my computer in the morning, I will do an exercise for 10 minutes on mansioningles.com because that will help me improve my grammar and my vocabulary. So if you write these down, the habit will develop by itself if you do it every day, of course, if you're consistent with your habits. And also start small with habits, with positive habits. For example, some people floss their teeth. Dental floss is hilo dental. So apart from cleaning your teeth, you should really floss your teeth every day. But what you could say is, okay, well, that's quite a complicated habit. That's going to be difficult. I'll just floss one tooth. I'll start with one tooth and then gradually I'll increase it. Well, of course, one tooth is a second, isn't it? It's very, very quick. And what will probably happen is you'll start with one tooth, but very quickly you'll be flossing every tooth. So start small, gradually increase it, and then that positive habit will develop in time. Can you think of another example connected to English, Reza?
What about this? Do you want to practice your writing in English? Why not start a journal? A journal, something you write for yourself. Just write one sentence each day. One sentence each day. It's not much, is it? It's not going to take up a lot of time. It's not going to make you feel tired. One sentence a day, and eventually you'll see that after a while, you've written quite a bit. And you'll probably find that you start writing more than one sentence because you'll get quicker, you get better at it, and you'll probably enjoy it more as well. So just start with one sentence each day and build up.
There's an expression in English to be set in stone. If something is set in stone, piedra, then it's fixed. You cannot change it. And I believe that habits are not set in stone. Many people just keep repeating habits, especially bad habits, without thinking about changing them. You can change a bad habit to a good one. Do you always watch TV in Spanish at a particular time of day? Why not do the same thing but change it to English and improve your listening? So just change some of these habits that have become a routine and try and improve your English and your life in general on a daily basis. But now it's time for you to practice your English. Let us know what habits you've changed or introduced in order to help you with your English. We think it's more important than ever to be aware of our habits and not let bad habits control us and take over our lives, especially during the pandemic. Reza, how can people get in touch?
We'd love to hear from you, so why not send us a voice message? You could make it a habit. You could send us one every week or so and start building up. We can't guarantee that we'll play everyone on the show, but you could certainly practice your English and send them to us. Send your message to speakpipe.com/English podcast. If you prefer, you could send us an email if you want to practice your writing. You could add a comment or a question. You could send it to Craig@EnglishPodcast.com or BelfastReza@gmail.com.
Another thing you could do, develop the habit of studying with our courses. If you go to store.mencioningles.net, you'll see a selection of material and courses that will help you improve your English, including a course for the Cambridge B2 First exam. There is a pronunciation course, different audio courses at different levels. So even with audio courses, you could develop the habit of listening maybe 20 minutes every day to improve your English. Before we go this week, we'd like to thank all of you who are helping us by supporting this podcast. And you can see a list of our Patreon supporters over at Patreon, patreon.com/English podcast. We have a very long list of people who are supporting us, and unfortunately we don't have time to read all of your names, but we would like to say welcome to our latest Patreon supporters who have joined us this month, and they are Carlos Martinez Fuentes, Charo Toscano, Cristina, Maria Barrio, Susana Ricaño, Mónica Valiente Navalon, Vararia, and special thanks to Uriel and Gerard, who have donated more than the minimum $1. So thank you very, very much, all of you, for your support. If you'd like to join those people, Reza, how can they join up with Patreon?
Yeah, you could join the Patreon scheme if you haven't already. For as little as $1.21, more or less, per month. The 21 cents is for VAT, value added tax. And if you do that, you'll get instant access to recent transcriptions. In other words, you'll get to read all the words that we say. As we said earlier, just go to patreon.com/English podcast.
And on next week's episode, we're going to listen to another story from friend of the show, Jose Molino Marco, who has sent us a listening comprehension entitled The Street Seller. So please join us next week and we'll do some special listening practice. Until next time, thank you very much for listening this week. Let's start some new habits and get rid of those bad ones. And we look forward to hearing your feedback on that. Until next time, it's goodbye from Reza.
And goodbye from Craig.
The music in this podcast is by Pitts. The track is called See You Later.